各位观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看我们 JxJ 论坛，由我与我们的好朋友 Jim Noteware 一起为我们讨论这个礼拜的时事。Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Jimmy. I'm doing extra special. I've had the good fortune to come to a family reunion in California. So every time I come back to California, it's always a treat to be with the rest of my family. And today is a very special day because later this weekend on Saturday night, my brother's son, my nephew, is getting married. And we're celebrating everything in Monterey, California, literally right on the beach and the coast. So we are looking forward to a very nice weekend.
Well, first of all, congratulations to your nephew and his bride. Congratulations to you and your family to flying from all over the world. I know one of your daughters came in from London and all over the world to come in to your home state and to be in Monterey at this time when we're in Houston, when it's 95 degrees and humidity is 110, while you're there enjoying 60, 70 degree weather. This is why we love California. So I hope our audience in the world congratulate Mr. Noteware's nephew and bride. And I hope you enjoy your vacation. We're all very envious.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's, regarding our conversation, our weekly television show and everything, California, particularly this part of California, has always been the gateway to the Pacific, a gateway to Asia. So
it means a lot to Asian Americans. A lot of images, I think, for when you haven't been here, California is what a lot of us thought of as America, not Nebraska, not West Virginia. It is California, the beaches, the bay, the Golden Gate Bridge, and the bountiful produce and the four seasons, the different scenery. But like I said, Monterey is a very unique place. For me, it's it's beautiful. The surf, the aquarium, and being multicultural. California is one of the most open and most diverse states. It is the most diverse state, to be honest, and especially for Asian Americans. You feel a lot more comfortable in California to see a lot of other people that looks like you, and a lot of public elected officials. The concentration of federal elected officials in Congress and Senate is that represents Asian Americans are from California or Hawaii. Yeah. So for you, you understand that. Now, when we were chatting earlier, what concerns us is that we know a lot of people are leaving California for the taxes, for political reasons, for the housing prices, the high cost of living. You're very close to San Francisco. So let's talk, because you're very familiar with this area and with San Francisco. Do you mind if you tell our audience a little bit about what has changed in San Francisco and why would you not recommend? Because like we said, when I started out my career in finance 20 years ago, if I had a chance to move to San Francisco, I would jump at the chance. It's a great place to live. But now the concerns for crime, cost of living, everything is added up. I wouldn't go anymore. Could you tell us why? What's the difference between now and back then when you were there?
I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure that I can say anything that people don't already know. I think the media covers it very well. But it's the erosion of the rule of law. It's the erosion of law enforcement. It's the erosion of civil society. And it is really a shame because of all the things that historically California and particularly the San Francisco Bay Area have stood for over the years. Crime is beyond belief. I can't just blame the criminals. Criminals are criminals. They'll do what they are going to do. But I blame the leadership that allows it to happen, the permissive society, the decision not to enforce laws. We have plenty of laws. We've just chosen here in California not to enforce them. Homelessness is going crazy. It's not good for the rest of the population. It's not good for the homeless either.
And now that is a quote that we could use coming from a conservative background to say that you can't even blame the criminals.
The criminals are what the criminals are going to do. And unfortunately, there's more and more of them because the powers that be have chosen not to enforce the existing laws. It's gotten so bad that both Walgreens and CVS have closed all their stores in the city of San Francisco, because the administration in San Francisco, the mayor and the board of supervisors, San Francisco is both a city and a county, so they have the county form of government in San Francisco. They have chosen not to prosecute any shoplifting under $900. So what that means is anybody who wants to steal less than $900 can just come in and take things off the shelf. The employees in the store, the security guards, the police will not bother them. It's like open season. And they're not the only retailers. A lot of longtime local retailers have closed as well for the same obvious reasons. Yet nobody knows where this is going to end.
Well, when the pendulum swings too far to the right or the left, it will always come back to the middle. The issue is who are the voters going to be, and what choices do they have left? I would like to clarify a few things. First of all, Target, CVS and Walgreens, they didn't close their stores. What they did is they closed it early. Instead of being 24 hours or 11 or 12, they're closing it a lot earlier because they have the highest loss in that city out of any place in the United States. Yeah. Loss from theft, and they cannot see high security guard. Yeah.
I think Walgreens, if they're not already totally closed, they're on their way to closing all of them. They will.
I could double check on that. From what my last understanding was, they're closing early. But you're absolutely right on this theft, on this law where, and the fact is there's no law enforcement on site. There's not enough people, and if they arrest them and the prosecutors will let them go anyway, to them, what is the point, right? When people that keeps getting bailed out or bonded out when they have 14, 15 cases on them.
And the man who was district attorney in San Francisco that actually made the decision on behalf of the city not to do this prosecution, he left San Francisco. He was ridden out of town, and now he got himself elected as the district attorney in Los Angeles County. So the same thing, exactly the same thing on a much bigger scale is happening throughout Los Angeles County.
Because pandering to the specific voters that would help get him elected is what they're focusing on instead of. I understand that you want to get elected first, but then instead of you're pandering to the small. Look, safety and crime rate is paramount to a community. It doesn't matter what political stance you have. It shouldn't be that if you're a progressive or liberal, then it's okay to have higher crime. It doesn't work that way. Just because you're conservative doesn't also mean that you don't want to have fairness or more training for police. But that doesn't mean you could let lawlessness run amok, because that hurts income. It hurts everyone. Tourism. My friends that live in San Francisco tells me not to go anymore. They said that, cars get break-in every day in broad daylight, and there is no cops. There is nothing you could do. And the criminals know that. They know that. There's no consequence and there's no accountability.
Many of my family friends are in the law enforcement and police, and they are openly saying, why should we put ourselves in harm's way? Why should we undertake personal danger when we arrest someone and encounter dangerous situations to do so if the court system will just let the bad guys out again and again? If the political leadership does not back us up, what's it all for? And most police departments are having a very difficult time recruiting new policemen. And many police departments are experiencing significantly increased rates of retirement and resignations. So the politicians not only don't have to defund the police departments are shrinking on their own because of this absence of leadership.
Morale is low. Public perception is low. There has to be a way to stop this this lack of training. Police brutality is real. We agree on that. We agree that there is issues with the very small amount of law enforcement, but we do support our law enforcement. We have to. It is a high risk, low paying job. It is a tough job that not a lot of people want. And we cannot let a few, rogue officers, we just have to have more accountability. But like I said, this is a zero-sum game because you got on that path. Nobody wins. And as citizens, as normal, regular Americans, everyone loses. And look at San Fran, it's the perfect example. Jim, when we started this conversation, we were so happy. You're finally on vacation, essentially, family gathering. I mean, because of the pandemic, we really haven't had a chance to see everyone, to travel together, to be in a beautiful place. I love Monterey. I keep repeating, I love Northern California. But yet it comes down, we bring this up and we bring up San Francisco, we bring up Los Angeles, and in a way, San Diego, Santa Barbara. We could talk about San Jose. And now the creeps in, but it cannot let it take away from the fact that California is, when people complain, what I tell them? I said, hey, I just had a conversation with a real estate developer in Austin. He's saying he loves all the folks coming into Austin. His sister lives in LA and they're considering moving back. And he was in LA. He's in LA all the time and he's complaining to me LA. So I told him, he said, hey, why live in Los Angeles or California, period? When Austin is, just as nice, half the price, better governance, the state itself, blah, blah, blah. I tell them, hey, don't just because the leadership got problems, it doesn't take away the uniqueness of California. There's nothing in this world that is like living there. When you can ski and drive up and ski in 1 hour and come down to the beach in an hour on the same day, where you have the diverse population, the beautiful surfing. I mean, you have desert and mountains and this. You can't beat that. Texas have nothing on California. So don't forget how fortunate it is for you to grow up in California. And if I could afford to one day, I will have given up an arm and leg to live in California. But I'm born and raised Houstonian. I'm proud to be from Texas. But I don't hear anybody ever say, when I retire or when I want a vacation, let's visit Houston. Nobody will ever say that.
No. Let me give you a couple of responses to what you say. First, we're very fortunate to be in Monterey. Monterey is a relatively small town, and it is governed in the old-fashioned way. It does not have many of the problems that San Francisco and LA does, or if it does, they're much less significant. Number two, part of the reason that my family and I enjoy living in Houston, leave aside the weather, is that the neighborhoods that we enjoy living in are very much like California was 2 generations ago when we grew up.
Absolutely.
Old-fashioned family values are still much more prominent in Texas. Number three, you talk about Austin. Austin is becoming much like California because many of the people that live in Austin are California wannabes. And many of the people who moved to Austin are from California. So a little bit of Texas is going the way of California, and it's most pronounced in the homeless situation in downtown Austin, much like downtown San Francisco. And if you don't believe me, just go take a walk.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you. San Francisco has had that homeless problem for decades now. And Austin just started probably 5, 6. No, it's been there, but it's gotten so much worse. And you're right. I mean, there has to be a solution. Like you said, you cannot blame the criminals or the homeless. You have to blame you have to put the onus on the leadership for not resolving this issue, because it's bad for the homeless folks that are stuck out there and for the community in general. It is a problem.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I have a solution for it. I mean, I know Sanctuary City and look,
two things are going on very important in California now. One is the man I mentioned to you who was district attorney in Los Angeles, formerly of San Francisco. He's being recalled. The citizens of LA are finally fed up enough with it that they want him out of office. And two is the governor of California is being recalled. Mm-hmm. Many people doubt that he will be ejected, but the recall is very significant. And even people who are planning to vote not to throw him out of office, let him finish the remaining 2 years of his term, know that his political career is over. He was term limited out, but even if he tried to run again, he could not get reelected. So politics, it does have a pendulum that swings back and forth. And I think California, it has swung too far.
What people forget is that the inland areas like Bakersfield and the less economically developed areas are still predominantly very conservative. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the small towns along the coast, people have the misconception that only Hollywood elites are extremely progressive and liberal. That is not quite true. And it's also the other ways around too. It's not everyone that moved from California. As a matter of fact, a lot of people that I know that moved from California to Austin are because they are against this kind of leadership and they're conservative by nature. And they feel like it's too far, too extreme out there to the left. So that's why they moved to Austin. And yet what they thought of Texas is definitely not Austin, because they're in for a shock too, and the folks in Austin probably thought that, hey, there's people like them that are coming, but no, it's hard. It's a hard balance to have. But like I said, I would have no problem. And I hope California would stop this, with the wildfires, with the loss of their tax paying citizens. I mean, this is going to be a problem, and all the big tech companies, a lot of them are moving away. So you see that is this going to lead to more affordable living? We should see it could be, but I know for business owners, for a fact, for entrepreneurs, for business owners, this is not a good state to be in California. It is not good for corporations, not good to the fundamentals of our business community. It is to let them grow, right? To provide instead of just nonstop taxation and loopholes. I understand there's environmental, more stringent environmental controls in California because there's a lot more outdoor protected areas. And that I can understand. But there's a lot of other issues that are not conducive to attracting more business and also increasing people.
In fact, they're pushing people away. I'm in the real estate development business, and I talk with my friends and colleagues in California all the time. It's almost impossible to build new housing anywhere along the coast. The inland areas that you mentioned, completely different, much more like Texas, but along the coast, which is where most people want to live because of the weather and the history. But what you said a moment ago about the inland areas, a lot of people around the country don't realize California is dominant in U.S. agriculture. California's agriculture is bigger than most of the Midwest all combined. And it's not just large, it's very productive, it's very diverse, it's very, very successful. But it too has problems, mostly because of water and because of politics that relate to water. But that's a whole nother dimension that growing up on a farm, I'm very sensitive to all of those kind of things in California.
I did not know you grew up on a farm.
Yeah, in Sacramento County, in the river delta where all the water comes to converge. And California's had, since I was in high school, a program of taking the water from the river delta and the San Francisco Bay and transferring it all to Southern California to feed the growth of the population and industry in Southern California. It's a huge, huge political issue.
Wow, you fascinating. You have such a diverse background. Let's remember. Let's set it up for we're going to have to do a show, a program specifically to talk about your background, your experience growing up there, because I think our audience all over the world will love to know what it's like to grow up in California before all these problems, and to also know the issues that lie behind water, because water is the next big frontier where every country will fight for the resource. This is the next scarce resource that will be necessity. I mean, water will be traded on Wall Street pretty soon as a commodity.
Yeah.
We forget about that how scarce it is. So, I mean, there's places like Singapore where rely on other countries just to get their basic water piped in every single day. Places like Dubai. I mean, so it's absolutely necessary.
That's another reason why I think Houston has a brilliant future in front of it, because Houston has two huge natural advantages. One, it has flat land that can be developable for as far as anyone could ever imagine. So we're not constrained by land. And secondly, we have water. Most of the rest of the country is experiencing drought and has been for a very long time. And even under normal, natural, historical conditions, it doesn't have enough rainfall to support the population that it has. Houston, we have a hate affair with water. We can't get rid of it fast enough because of the flooding. We need to learn how to use it much better. And I think belatedly we are doing that. But that, too, could be a subject for a future discussion.
In a way, we have too much water instead of not enough, and we don't have enough people here. But thank you for pointing out the advantages we have as Texans, as Estonians. You're absolutely right. We forget how fortunate we are when we're comparing. Either way, both places are great. I mean, we're lucky to the right place at the right time. But I really appreciate insight, Jim. I know that is difficult for you when you're traveling, to see family once a year. I mean, very rare since COVID. So I wish I could see my family. A lot of our audience, hopefully we all will be able to travel and see our family and participate in monumental and celebrations together again. Jim, we thank you so much for taking out your time to talk with us. Enjoy your weekend and have a great time.
A great way to start. Thank you, Jimmy. Talk next week.
All right. Take care, Jim. Bye-bye.
Good day, everyone.